Hello and welcome to episode 38 of Berry Fun Adventures. My name is Tanya and I am the dyer behind Berry Fun Yarns, which is a naturally dyed yarn line. And I live here in southeast Minnesota with my family on our fruit farm, Firefly Berries. And this is where I grow most of the plants that I use to dye the yarn. So welcome. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for checking us out. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. So it has been probably about a month since I have come to you last with a regularly scheduled episode. And a quick 3-minute or 2 or 3 minute life update will explain why I have been away. But we have, as we are a working fruit farm here, we do have spring work. So our spring here in Minnesota has been kind of odd. It was kind of late and kind of cool. It's been kind of rainy. So we have been working in our outdoor jobs in between the weather. And then also about a month ago, our outdoor kitty, if you followed me during Vlogmas last year, you will have seen S'mores, who is a calico female outdoor kitty who her mom kind of adopted us. Her mom's name was Marshmallow. And she was all white with just a little black tail. And we believe, had S'mores in our machine shed in the spring, early summer of 2021. And we do believe in spaying and neutering, and we don't want to have too many cats. So we tried to catch both of them last year, only caught Marshmallow, got her spayed. S'mores, however, did not want to go into the trap. She had a litter of kittens last year. One of them died, and the other one we rescued because her and her mom were fighting over it. And that kitten became our indoor cat, who is now known as Tobble. And then again this spring we have been working with a local animal rescue called Camp Companion that specializes in trap, neuter, and release programs in feral cat colonies on farms. So they helped us. S'mores had her kittens, we believe, sometime around April 16th, based on when she came to eat and when she didn't. And Camp Companion helped us trap her and the 3 kittens, and now they are actually indoors in our house. S'mores is doing really well, actually. Being a feral cat, having been outside, she did let me pet her like the last month or 2 before she gave birth, but we weren't sure how she'd do. But they are now in our guest room. I will insert some pictures, and they are doing quite well. She has 3 kittens. They are 2 boys and a girl. We named them Hershey, Graham, and Reese in the Sweet Treat S'mores theme. And they are happy and healthy, and S'mores is doing good. She lets us pet her. She comes out. She hisses and growls very seldomly. Usually it's at something new to her, like yesterday it was the ceiling fan she wasn't quite sure of, so she's just not been indoors. So the hope and the plan is that hopefully S'mores will get used to being indoors and she can be an indoor cat for us. And then the kittens will be adopted through the Camp Companion Rescue. Will help them find their forever homes. But they are with us until they are big enough to be spayed and neutered and ready for adoption. So as you can imagine, I have been spending a lot of time playing with kittens and feeding them and taking care of them and making sure they're okay. And I didn't really realize until yesterday how much of my normal knitting time I now spend in with them. So I have been knitting, I have been crocheting. Actually, I don't think I have any crochet today, mostly knitting, but the bulk of my free time has been spent playing with kittens, which is not a bad thing to be doing, but it's easy to go into that room and an hour later realize when they finally fall asleep and go back to their mom after climbing on you that, an hour has gone by. So needless to say, I do not have any finished objects to share with you today, but I do have a good bit of works in progress. So let me share those with you. Let's get right into that. And you'll notice I am sitting, it looks like I should be sitting in a normal place where I normally have like my comfy chair here and whatnot. But because we moved, the kittens and Mama were originally in a big, huge 4-foot kennel in our basement, but Mama was wanting to come out and explore a little bit once she felt more safe down there, once she felt a little safer. And so we decided to move them upstairs to their own room, where our basement is unfinished. So although it's pretty safe, there's a lot of cobwebs and nooks and crannies where we could lose her or the kittens there. So we moved everybody upstairs, and they now have their own room. But that means that my husband's office, he is in his regular office today. He only works from home 2 days a week. But when he works from home, he had this desk that was in the room where the kittens now are. So we moved his desk in here, a chair downstairs, and so we're kind of have a little move around furniture thing. So that is why this looks a little bit different where I'm sitting. Well, anyway, the first project I'm going to show you is my favorite blanket, which is the Knit Along Going On Through Bakery Bears. I've talked about it many times before, and I am proud to say that I am keeping up with the clues, or however you want to call it, I think it's about once a month. Yeah, every 4 weeks she comes out with a new section to the blanket. And it's a very simple garter blanket. So this is mine. It's very big. So we just finished the 5th section. That was this one here. Let me hold that up closer. And the 5th section has a bit what she called fancy bits in it. If you look close, you can see there are some eyelets that go across diagonal. And to be completely honest, I think I messed a couple of them up. The spacing is wonky on a couple of them, but I'm not ripping back because no one is going to care. And if they care, then they don't get to use the blanket. So yeah, so I'm caught up with section 5. And today is Wednesday, May 17th, and section 6 just came out last Friday. So I'm just a couple days behind there, but I am hoping to, the other thing I was going to show you is, where is it? So this last section 5, it started to turn. So because the blanket is going to be rectangular and it's sort of corner to corner, the middle sections have you decreasing on one side while you increase on the other, so that the blanket becomes more rectangular instead of a square. So that was what that section was. And the next section I picked out 2 new colors. Actually one new color, one I used before, but I'm going to use it in a different way. The thing about marling, so this blanket is done on a US 6 needle, and you hold 2 fingering weight yarn strands together. And the thing about doing that is that, like this one, I'm losing my needles, my stitches. This one was a pink with this like kind of pale, can you see it on there? Kind of a pale greeny blue color. And the pink really kind of took over the color when the 2 were knit together. So I wanted something a little more in that blue family that I was trying to get to. So this is the first one. This is called, so this was a Zombie Knitpocalypse exclusive colorway from, I believe, last year. It's kind of a bluish color. And it is from Haynes House Yarns. And it is called Baba Baba Head. I have no idea. There is a little story on the back that tells you about how it came up with the name, but it's kind of long, so I'm not going to read that to you. But it is on their Bare Feet sock base, which is a 75% merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards, 100 grams. And so I'm going to hold that with my Legacy Fiber Arts. This one I held with a pale pink, the very first section, and so the pink came out more in this colorway. You can kind of see it. Let me show you here. This is how it came out in the beginning. So the blue kind of got muffled, and I have, since you only need 50 grams for each section, I have a half a skein left, so I'm going to hold that with the blue in hopes of getting a little bit more blue color in my next section. So that is coming along wonderfully. And I enjoy doing the one section every month. It sort of is a nice way to keep up with the blanket and not feel totally overwhelmed as well. All right, then I move on to my crazy Zauberball socks. I did get into a sock mood for a while, and I actually have one finished object here. It's a half object, and this is I was here last time I came to you. So these are a simple, I'm going to take that off before I forget. These are a simple cuff down sock that I just did myself. It has a knit to purl to ribbing. And then this is sort of a broken rib pattern. So I do knit 3, purl 1, and then I knit 2 rows straight, and then I do the opposite, purl 1, knit 3. I think I said that right. The notes are on my project page if you want to check them out, but this is the crazy Zauberball that looks like this originally. And let's see if it gives me a number. It does not really. It says 1153 is the number. So yeah, so those turned out good. These are for my husband, but they're not, I don't need these to be done until, when it gets colder again. So I'm hoping to have 2 pairs of socks done for him for the fall. And then we'll talk about that in a little bit, because I'm going to chat a little bit with you about planning, because we are getting close to 5 months being up for the year, and I like to look ahead at this time for what I want to get done, maybe even as gifts for Christmas, the holiday time. So we'll get to that later. But so I have 1 sock done. I did not cast on the second one yet, but I will be doing that, I'm sure, in the not so distant future. And then I did a little bit of work on my Sunray sweater. If you remember, this is the Colorwork Yoke Sweater by Jennifer Steingass, and I am making it out of the Roan Sport Gray colorway from Lavender Loon, and then the yoke colorwork is done with another crazy Zauberball, a pink one that I hold double with some pink mohair, some Very Fun Yarns pink mohair. So I did, last time I think I've done maybe 2 inches since I've seen you last. So this is where I was last time, up here. So I just did a little bit of the knit in the round section. It's coming together nicely. I did try it on, and I think that the depth of the armpit holes is going to work for me, so that is good. Yeah, not too much to report on that. It's just kind of around and around. I actually took it on Mother's Day when I went to visit my oldest child. They were having a couple concerts. They're music person, and so we went to some concerts, and I thought, well, that'll be easy because it's just around and around, and I don't have to think about it, and it's for me, and on Mother's Day I should be making something for me. So that was that. Apologies for the weird light going on here. Okay, let's see what's next. Spring socks. I have kind of a list here that I'm following so that I don't forget. Oh, these are the wrong ones. I have too many bags going on here. I really like the idea of having the clear project bag so you can see what's inside, but then I also always think, well, my project bag is kind of messy inside, and then you can see all my mess. So the spring socks, these ones are being knit with, I've got 2 projects in the same bag here. So this is a Very Fun Yarns Needle Cozy, and my mom she visited over Mother's Day and brought a huge bunch of bags and things, so I will be probably sorting those out, taking some to the farmer's market, and then posting some online shortly. But so this is I think last time I had barely cast on the maybe just the cuff and a smidgen. But this is what this is knitting up as. And it is blowing out a tad bit, but you can see it's a nice pale, there's a little more accurate back here, I guess. But it is sort of a pale, limey green with purple and bright pink spots along the way. Yeah. And then I did a little purple splotch on the top. And this set, I do have some mini sock mini sets in the shop right now, and this is one of the sets in there. And they're organized as a 50-gram main skein and a 25-gram, 20-gram mini skein to go with it. So if you don't like super long socks, or your feet are, I would say, like a size 8 or 9 US or less, you could definitely get a pair of socks out of just the 70 grams. And then that allows you to save a little bit of money, because it's only $20 for the mini and the 50-gram skein versus $27 for a full skein. And then you have lots of leftovers. So yeah, those are the spring socks. And then I have also the festive socks, which are another mini sock set that's in the shop right now. And these are made out of the Very Berry Christmas colorway. And they could certainly be spring as well as, I think I have a cat trying to get into my room. Pause for a minute while I go let her in. Okay, I am back with a little visitor. She's probably going to be, that's Soleil. She just wants to be in here. She likes to look out the window. And she's our 13-year-old kitty who, oh, she's coming for water. She has kidney disease, so she's doing good, but she has her good days and her bad days. Anyway, she wanted to be in here by us, so I opened the door to let her in. So back to the socks. So these are the festive socks. I really love how these are knitting up. Again, it's going to blow out. It's much greener in person. They have a beautiful kind of speckly red pop of color that comes every once in a while. And then they have the pink cranberry contrasting. Now, I don't know what I was thinking when I started these. I was going to make them out of a kit, a 50-gram kit, but my feet, I wear a size 11 women's, and I think I probably would have had to make maybe a 3 or 4 inch leg, and instead I did a 6-inch. So I'm definitely going to be using more than 50 grams plus the 20-gram mini, but that's okay. They'll be the size that I like. But again, there are some sets of these in the shop right now, and they are nice in that, whoop, I lost a needle. They are really nice in that they can be Christmas socks, but they also have a very nice, just sort of spring, everyday sort of feel to them. They're not overly holiday colors. All right, so that is the festive socks. Putting those back into I have my spring Easter cozy and egg bag yet. I know Easter is over, but we're going to pretend it's not. So that is that. And then I keep finding stray needles here. In the same bag, I had a new cast on, which is the citrus hat, I believe. Let me double check the pattern, which, okay, well, I can't double check because it's not in my bag. I started this when I was set up at the farmer's market, which was the last weekend that I was there. But this is the citrus hat. I know I don't remember who the designer is, so I will put that on the page. But this I am knitting up in my zebra worsted weight yarn, and that is a worsted Peruvian Highland wool, and it has some, you can see this yarn, it has some of the black wool spun in with the white. So when I dye it, the black does not take the color. And this skein is a very, I don't know, it was an experiment. I think I had a lot of marigold left and I just wanted to use it and I didn't measure it. So this is actually, marigold usually gives me like a bright yellow color, but I think I just used so much of it and some on the bottom that it got muddied out a little. So it's more of a mustard yellowy brown, but I do like it. So I'm making this as a sample for the farmer's market and then also just to kind of, oops, somebody wants to be in my lap. Hello, girl. Just at the farmer's market and then just so you can kind of see how that zebra worsted works up. So there is quite a bit of zebra worsted left in the shop, and that is, I am discontinuing dyeing that. So that is all down to $20 a skein if you like to work with the Peruvian Highland wool. It is a little bit less soft than merino, but it's still very, I mean, I think I could wear this on close to my skin, like on my neck. It makes a very nice hat. I think it would make a great sweater too, like for anyone, but particularly for a little person if you don't mind hand washing it because the wool is not superwash. But yeah, like how that's knitting up. That is the citrus hat. And I will look up the designer's name. And then I have one last object that I want to show you, but I'm going to go to black and white here because this is a kind of a secret colorway that I am working on a sample of, and I am making the Tesoro, I believe it is called, yes, Tesoro by Isabel Kramer, and my printout is not a good printout, so I will put in a picture of it. And it is a top-down summer t-shirt. And I really and truly, I do not have very much to show you. I am doing helical knitting once I got past the yoke. It's just a tiny little, and you can't even see the colors, so I don't know why I'm showing you this, but just to know that I am working on this. I think I'm getting close to the part where I need to make my switch to a little bit longer cable because it's getting kind of squishy. But this looks like it's going to be a really great pattern. I have used Isabel Kramer patterns in the past, and I do like the way she writes them. This particular one does have short rows in the back, so it will be a really nice fitting t-shirt. And then it has a very long ribbed cuff, which I think will be really pretty. So yeah, I will show you more of that as I get through it, and then hopefully by the time I finish it, I will get to the point where I can actually show you the color. So yes, so that is the Tesoro. I'm knitting that in a Berry Tough sock yarn base, which is an 80/20 merino nylon base. Okay, so that is all I have for whips. That's pretty quick today. But what I did want to just talk very quickly about is a little bit about planning. So looking ahead, I have to say I have not planned very much the first 5 months of the year. And that sometimes changes depending on my state of mind and how I'm feeling. Sometimes I just want to wing it. Sometimes having a plan really is helpful to not only getting things done, but helpful to making me feel like I'm in control of my crafting. So however you feel about that, you do you do what you need, and if it changes from season to season, which it does often for me in the winter, I like to just sort of be more relaxed. And then when I really want to get some things done and I don't want to have to worry about last minute gift ideas sort of things, then I like to plan ahead. So with that in mind, I am kind of June, July, and August are very busy months for us here in the farm as far as like fruit production. June usually goes whoosh, really fast because about 2 to 3 weeks is very heavy with strawberries. Apologies if you can hear that. One of my children is taking a shower in the other room nearby, and It sounds very loud. Okay, I think it stopped for the most part. Apologies, but at least he's taking a shower, right? So planning. So what I wanted to say about planning is this, that if you are the type of crafter who likes to make gifts for the holiday season, now is the time to start thinking about that. Do not put it off until even September or October, because the months go by so quickly. And ideally, at least personally, I like to have most of my gifts that I'm like giving to be finished by Thanksgiving, or at the very latest, the last day of November. And that's just because I don't want to be stressed in December trying to figure out how I'm going to knit all of these things or craft or whatever craft I'm doing, crochet, cross stitch. I want to be able to enjoy the season. I want to be able to enjoy my Advent countdowns, which thank you, by the way, to all of you who pre-ordered my Advent countdowns. But there's so much going on in December that adding making gifts, unless it's a super simple hat, is stressful. So with that in mind, I wanted to take a look at what I was doing, how I was doing, and where I was going. So the first thing I did, I'm going to just kind of show you my step-by-step of what I did. Now, if you are a planner person, if you really like detailed plans, go to Nitty Natty. I will try to link her project planning videos below, but she is the queen, in my opinion, of project planning. She has it down to a T. She does it by week. Sometimes she does it by day or time of the day. Like she used to do projects, things she did in the morning, things she did in the evening, that sort of thing. But I am doing a little bit more laid back plan that as I get closer to the months. So I'm doing a full from now until the end of the year. But then as I get closer to it, I may tweak it, I may get more detailed. And I'll check in with you if I do. So the first thing I did is I made a list of my WIPs. So these are my current works in progress. And I actually had 14 current works in progress. Now, I will say that not everything that is a current work in progress did I feel like I needed or wanted to put a finish date on it. For instance, my favorite blanket that I showed you, that is something I just enjoy doing each month it comes out. But it's just for me. If I fall behind, it's not the end of the world. If there's something else that I want to do more, then that maybe will get pushed up and then my favorite blanket will fall behind slightly. Same with my granny square blanket or any kind of scrap blanket that I have. Okay, so I have 7. So what I did after I listed my 14 is then I'm going to show you briefly. I kind of put a date when I ideally would like to have them done. Now, I say ideally because, again, these are casual plans. I'm not going to kill myself trying to get these things done. It's just knitting, it's just crochet, it's just cross stitch. If I fall behind, I need to remember to give myself grace and to not feel stressed about it. So once I did that, then I also made a list of other projects that I would ideally like to make before the end of the year. And most of these things are for my immediate family. In fact, all of them are. My second oldest is going away to his first year of college, and I wanted to have, he doesn't have very many wool socks. I wanted to knit him 2 pairs by his birthday, which is November 26th. And he needs a new sweatshirt, which I would love to give him for his birthday. Ideally, that is the plan. But if it doesn't happen on the exact date, it's okay. Same with my husband and my youngest. They both want a sweater, so they're on the list. Socks. For my other college-bound child, I noticed their socks were getting kind of worn out, so I have 2 pair on that list. And then just like hats for some of my kids that need a new hat for the winter season. I put on an Elton pullover, which is what I just would like to make out of some of my stash yarn. And then I have on there 2 Advent samples for the pattern that I am designing for the Advent kits that I'd like to have out. Okay, so once I had all of those listed, then what I did is I made a grid. I put the months, May, June, July, August, and then I did September, October, November, December. And what I did is I went through each item that I wanted to finish or complete, and I put it on a month. Now, if I wanted to finish it, say June 30th, it obviously needed to be on the list for May. So I tried in my head to kind of visualize or imagine how many hours it would take me, how many months I needed to work on that. So I do have, for instance, for May, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 things on my list that I hope to knit during the month. One thing that I want to finish yet for May, and that is that sample hat out of the zebra worsted I showed you, which probably I'll finish this week. And then what I did is can you see this? I highlighted around the 2 or 3 for each month that were going to be my priority focus. So that just helps me because I don't know about you, but if I have lots of projects going and I really want to complete something, it's nice to know, the priority, what I need to focus on. So even though I can knit on, I can knit on whatever I want to knit on. If it's not in my May month and I really want to knit on it, I'm still going to knit on it. But I really want to make progress on these particular ones that I put the highlighter over. Okay? And then if I wanted to complete it by a specific date, I put that date next to it. Moving into June, I did that again. I still had 7 here. I'm focusing on the temperature blanket that I need to finish for my son, and then my Advent samples, and one of which I wanted to finish by the end of June so that the pattern could be done and I could send it out to any test knitters. So I did that for the whole rest of the year. Now, I notice when I get down here into November, I have quite a few things on there, and I truly had a hard time highlighting which would be the priority. So when I get to that point, based on what I have gotten done already, I will reassess. Okay, so this is just sort of a long-term outlook for what I would like to work on for the rest of the year. And it might change. I did do it in erasable pen. I love the friction pens and the friction highlighters. So everything is erasable, so I can erase it and move it around because I have a bit of neatness problem when it comes to lists. I don't like things scribbled out. I like them to look neat and tidy because I don't know why, I'm a weirdo. And so if I want to move things, I want to be able to erase it and make the changes without feeling like maybe it's something psychological, and I feel like, hi Soleil, and I feel like I'm somehow doing it wrong if I like cross it out like I'm a failure or some crazy thing like that. Anyway, Soleil is going to join us back there. So that's the planning. So if you are interested at all in doing those crafting things, so now she's going to play with all my stuff. This teaches me not to leave knitting needles and stitch markers out when there's a cat ready to play behind you. So to wrap up the planning section, I just want to say that if you are a person who likes to craft for gifts, maybe spend some time in the next month or 2 thinking about what you would like to do for this holiday season, because I don't want you to feel stressed. You don't want you to feel stressed. So a little bit of planning will go a long way. And then just remember having a backup for that gift. That's something I've learned that my husband has forced me to learn, that if I'm planning to give a blanket for a gift and it's not going well, what's a backup idea? So that way you have a backup idea and you don't stress about it not being done. Okay, that is all I have to say about planning. One last thing before I say goodbye is that in the Dyepots section, so If you are not interested in what's going on with Berry Fun Yarns or my natural dyeing, thank you so much for joining, and I will see you again next time. But if you are, just a quick note to say, again, thank you for all those of you who pre-ordered the Advent Countdown kits. I'm very excited to get that yarn ordered and in so that I can start dyeing those. Also, there is a slight chance that I may have a few extras, and I will let you know if that happens. I tend to dye in how many I can fit in my pan, so I have to take a closer look at that to see where I'm at. And then for anyone who was interested a long time ago, probably almost the beginning of the year, I mentioned working on some local alpaca yarn, and I'm finally getting to that. And what kind of stalled me was that it didn't feel quite right to me as I was playing with it and working with it. It weighed kind of heavy, and it took me a little bit of time to figure out, because I'm not a spinner, that what was probably happening is that there was spinning oil left in the yarn. So this past week I realized that, and I have been scouring the yarn in the sense of what you do is you use really hot water and a very gentle dish detergent to pull that oil out, and that has worked great and has softened up the yarn, and the weight of the yarn is more appropriate to the weight of the yarn, meaning how much it physically weighs is appropriate to the weight category, whether it be sport or DK, that the yarn is supposed to be in the yardage. So that is exciting, and I have some yarn downstairs right now because it is dandelion week here at the farm, and I am doing some dandelion dyeing. I don't love dandelion by itself, but I do love how it looks when it over dyes, particularly with indigo. It gives this beautiful rainforest greeny blue color. So I'm working on some of that, and I hope to do some experimenting with some other colors with the dandelion this week. So that is pretty much what's going on in the Dyepots, and if you are local, I am set up at the Rochester Farmers Market every Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 12 noon, unless there are torrential storms or crazy windy conditions planned. I plan to be there pretty much every weekend except the first weekend of the month, because that just happened to be how the summer fell for us, that I have things going on the first week of the month. And I think that's it. I can't think of anything else in the Dyepots to tell you or about things I have been making, but thank you so much for coming back and for joining me today. And if you are not a subscriber, please do hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you here, and it just lets me know that you are enjoying the content I put out. Feel free to share my channel with friends or on social media. You can tag me on Instagram. I am Berry Fun Mom, and I will see you there. And I think that's it. So I will see you next time. And until then, have a great time enjoying whether you are in spring or fall, wherever you are in the world, and enjoy whatever it is you are making. Thanks so much, everyone. Goodbye.